Hello, everybody. It is Evelyn from Awesome Training. So we reshared this beautiful resource that we designed a few years ago because people kept asking us, how do I know if a program or a course or a book or in anything that I'm using with autistic children um, is okay? Because it's a huge concern for a lot of people because there's a lot of stuff that's out there that is anti-autistic. Basically, it's not helpful to autistic people. It's demanding that autistic people behave in ways that are normative or not autistic. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use this, taking some of the kind of common programs that we see in our Irish schools for sure and schools worldwide. So the first one is Teach. So if you're familiar with that program, let's run this through this framework and we'll have our answer at the end. Okay, will we scrap Teach or keep it? Okay, is it more than 5 years old? Yes, it's about 30 years old as far as I can remember. I'm doing this off the top of my head. The last time I looked at it, it's definitely decades. The evidence doesn't include autistics. It claims to include autistic people, but no, the evidence is usually based on how normal the autistic person appears or learns in a way that somebody else has decided they should learn. So no, there isn't evidence really from autistic people. Results based on neuroconformative goals. Yes, yes, it is teaching autistic children to do things in a neuroconformative or neuronormative or non-autistic way. Absolutely. Is there any mention of expanding, improving, or coping? Yes. The language that's used is about helping the autistic person. Wherever we see that, that's often an alarm bell. Often, not always, but when it comes to Teach, yes. Any inclusion of ABA, PBS, or social skills training? Well, yeah, that's what the program is basically, isn't it? It's a behaviorist program. It's about making somebody comply, do what we want you to do in a way that we've decided you need to do it. That's compliance, basically. Any mention of theory of mind, lack of empathy, or social communication deficits? Yes. Yes, it is completely based on the idea that autistic people are faulty humans, that we're incompetent and need to be taught everything. It doesn't honor autistic ways of learning, monotropism, autodidactic learners, autistic communication, autistic movement. It doesn't honor any of our ways of being. So it's looking like we're going to scrap it, isn't it? All of those boxes are ticked. We could keep it if it was autistic led, but it's not. Autistic people did not design Teach. We could keep it if it supports the autistic person's well-being and autonomy, but it absolutely does not honor our autonomy because it is about compliance and control. We could keep it if it was based on human rights and self-determination. It's compliance, so it's not really, we can't keep it now, can we? We could keep it if it was trauma informed. No, there's no trauma informed lens in the Teach program because it presumes that it's starting at a point of where autism is autism as opposed to where autism is a distressed autistic person. So it doesn't understand what trauma looks like, doesn't understand masking. Is it based on consent instead of compliance? No, no. So we can't keep it. We'd like to keep something, but is it appreciation for autistic communication and play? Does it show us that? No. It tells us that we are faulty. Autistic people can't do these things. It's very much deficit-based and about fixing those deficits. Does it show an understanding even of the double empathy problem? No. No. Could non-autistic people be wrong and misinterpreting us? And are there other ways of doing things? Is there a miscommunication going on? Does it understand monotropism? No. It's usually about getting somebody to do tasks in a certain order at a certain time in a certain way, the way someone else has decided, not embracing the beautiful monotropic flow and giving an autistic person not giving them, it's not, autonomy isn't somebody else's for someone else to give us, but facilitating, not getting in the way of our autonomy, and just creating that space where we can enter monotropic flow and learn everything we want to learn about what we want to learn about. Nope. Does it include the social model of disability? That means looking at how the disability isn't often within the person, it's actually within our society, and how other people respond to autistic people. Nope, that's not there either, unfortunately. Does it consider minority stress? Which shows us that people from minorities, different minorities, experience this stress. This is common across different minorities, which kind of explains why, say autistic people have the same life expectancy as an Irish traveller, an Irish traveller man, which is about 55 years of age. There's commonalities across minorities because we constantly live on the margins. Our needs are not met, and that's definitely not included in teach. So it looks like, nope, we can't keep teach. So that's how you use this framework to evaluate whatever program you have, whatever you're using in your school right now with the kids in your care. Other programs which would fail this neuroaffirming test are attention autism, because guess what? It's also not designed by autistic people. I think that's the most straightforward question. Did autistic people ask us for this? Did autistic people create this, see a need for this, want to change themselves in this way? And the answer is no, very often, because we don't need programs. We are human beings. What we need is people to see us as human and develop those beautiful relationships. Everybody has that innate ability. The problem is ableism, autism, all of the isms and all of the biases that we hold have now put barriers in your way. So you think you need all of these programs in order to connect with this child. You don't. You need to be yourself. You need to remember why you started your career in the first place, to connect and to teach and to facilitate. And we need to realize that our school systems are not set up for neurodivergent kids. They're not set up. We need to start looking at these things differently, but that's a different rant. So yeah, teach attention autism, intensive interaction, big fail, also ancient, what the hell, based on the idea that there's to and fro communication is the only way that humans communicate. It's built on neuronormative speech development. It's based on the idea that if you copy the autistic person, you won't annoy them. It's like the most incredibly crazy program I've ever seen. Obviously, ABA would just be a massive fail. PBS, positive behavior support. ABA is applied behavior analysis. PBS is positive behavior support. Big fail on this too. Test it, do this. I'm not going to go through all of them because I'll be here for like an hour. Social skills programs, big no-nos. Not designed by autistic people, definitely older than 5 years old. The evidence does not include autistic people. It usually includes everybody around the autistic person, their parent, their teacher, their SNA, their psychiatrist, their therapist, their milkman, their hairdresser, everybody except for the autistic person. And they're all based on neuronormative goals about making autistic people be more normal or appear more normal, so we won't upset other people, as opposed to other people accepting that, oh my God, there are different people, we're not all the same. So isn't that a much better way to be? That's a much more human way to be. So all those social skills programs like social thinking and talk about and any of those other ones that are based on neuronormative communication and don't account for the beautiful way that autistic people communicate. Like, even if you think of how we teach children about feelings, it's always like a happy smiley face. But what about the kid who flaps to communicate their happiness? Where are they represented? That's neuronormative teaching. That's neuronormative stereotypes. That's then, if we don't include the autistic person's way, some autistic people's way of communicating their happiness, then we're excluding them. We're teaching them, oh, what they're doing is wrong, and look, we must copy this. We're actually doing that without meaning to. So we have to be super careful. A lot of those programs are just non-inclusive, basically. They're just designed based on, yeah, you know, the idea that everybody communicates their feelings in the same way. That's not true. Frowning does not always mean cranky. I frown when I'm passionate. I frown when I'm concentrating. I frown when I'm looking at TV. I might frown when I'm cranky. I don't know. Yeah, probably do. We use expressions in different ways, and all of that stuff that we're teaching kids is based on normative stuff. Okay, it's also not including minorities from other cultures, you know, so following this stuff actually helps everybody, not just autistic people. Other programs that wouldn't really fit in here are things like zones of regulation, you know, because I suppose it's based on an idea that it's up to an autistic child to regulate themselves in an environment that is going to dysregulate them. We're asking an autistic child to do something that isn't actually physically or biologically possible. You know, which zone are you in now? Go over here and regulate yourself. That's not what that's not, no, we the adults need to co-regulate. Children aren't able to regulate themselves. Literally, they're not built to do that. They are still developing. And yet we have programs on teaching kids to regulate. Impossible. Also, really impossible if you're in an environment that is causing you stress. We need to look at changing the environment. So something that teaches you to change the environment, good. Environment focused, as opposed to doing anything onto the child. Doing anything really onto the child is the things we want to avoid. And the programs, behaviorist programs, you know, whether they're not called ABA or positive behavior support, things like Incredible Years that are used, you know, by a lot of schools, they're behavior-based. They're compliance-based. They're about teaching someone to do the task. You know, I remember, like, an example might be where, you know, a child is having difficulty starting a task. You know, those programs will tell us to, you know, kind of give the child an ultimatum or tell the child to start the task or repeat the task. But we know inertia for autistic people is very real. We know that maybe it wasn't communicated right. Maybe that's why I can't start it. Maybe I'm exhausted. Maybe I'm burnt out. Maybe I just need a break. Those things aren't included in those kind of programs because they're not coming from an affirming lens, not seeing the person, what might be going on for them, and we don't actually force people to do things. So I hope you found this helpful. If you're looking for this, it's on our Instagram. We just shared it the 28th of September 2025, in case you're watching this video in the future. You'll find it. We'll also be putting a few more resources like this together. So do keep an eye on everything that we're putting out, because I think people really are trying to be affirming, really trying to do their best. And it's really disappointing that it's up to autistic people to keep this education going. We are, as schools are, we rely on the organizations that are, you know, funded to do this on our behalf as the marginalized community, that are funded to you know, ensure that best practice is being used in our school, that children are not being harmed, that teachers aren't being given poor, shoddy advice, and they're letting us down, which is why we have to spend our time doing this. Hopefully that'll change. We can see small changes happening, but it's not good enough, because if we start using stuff on children that should be scrapped, we're not helping. We're actually doing something that a lot of us don't want to admit. We're harming. And that's a tough truth, but we have to face that. We have to do better, and we have to listen to what the autistic community is saying. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you found that helpful.